I'm sure you can all hear me. And thank you for tuning in, and quite early too, right on time, for yet another book review. I see new faces, so I'd like to just give a little brief about the TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club. The TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club commenced in October 2021, and it has really been a fantabulous experience since then. The feedback has been awesome, and we're really, really excited in bringing a reading culture back to our society. The book reviews actually hold every third Saturday of the month, but in exceptional cases like today, we have it on the fourth Saturday. Tomorrow is the World Book and Copyright Day, and we thought to hold this April book review this weekend to that end. So the book club is an initiative of Trinity House, and Trinity House is a free-flow worship center powered with a vision to changing lives, fulfilling destinies, and transforming nations. So we are all welcome. We welcome you all to this session. And to be honest, we've had a good experience reviewing various books in the last 18 months or thereabouts. So for the benefit of those who are just joining for the very first time today, we've had about 12 or 13 book reviews thus far, and you can actually become a member of the TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club by sending a WhatsApp message to some numbers that will be displayed in the chat room during the course of this review. So very quickly, without boring you, I'll quickly take us through our book review journey. So the first book review, like I said, held in October 2021, and we reviewed a book by late Dr. Miles Monroe, and it was titled The Power of Character in Leadership. We had Pastor Remy Morgan, PRM, he was our guest, and he reviewed the book in 2021, the very first book review, and it was really an amazing one. The second book review was actually mind-blowing as well. We had Mr. Rotimi Adefarasi. He reviewed the book by Rick Warren, titled What on Earth Am I Here For? The Purpose-Driven Life. I think we should get the book and just read up if we've never come across it, because it's quite insightful. Our third book review, where we had our first female reviewer or guest, was a book authored by late Bob Buford. Mrs. Onyade Adegite did justice to that book, and she was magnanimous and generous enough to give out books to participants who did not have the opportunity to read the book before the review. It was really an awesome evening with her. Then we had the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell, and it's a book most of us might be familiar with. And we had Mr. Michael Ego, who dissected the book and gave us some nuggets that I personally will never forget anytime soon. The fifth book review was a book written by a female author, Cindy Trim, and Mrs. Omo Shalewa Fajobi gave us insights on that book titled Persevere Until Something Happens, Push Through Prayer. It was a life-transforming evening for me and for everybody who participated that day. The sixth book review held in May last year, and we delved into a book titled When Pleasing Others is Hurting You. We had Mr. Taiwo Gabriel with us virtually, and it was really amazing. It was all shades of amazing. So we need to really take our health seriously, because the book club actually doesn't just talk about Christian books. Yes, it's an initiative of Trinity House, but we talk about leadership, motivational books, health, lifestyle, and all of that. So we took a dive into health, and we had Dr. Atinuke Uwaje, who took us through the book 4 Blood Types, 4 Diets, Eat Right for Your Type, authored by Dr. Peter Dedemo. And I've been eating vegetables and loads of fruits ever since then. And well, other foods in line with my own blood and body type. So Dr. Atinuke Uwaje really did justice to the book. This is not an advertisement, but Dr. Uwaje is the founder of Pediatric Partners, located in both Victoria Island and Lekki. Eighth book review was by Mr. Austin Olorunshola. He took us through Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek at the beginning of summer last year. And we are actually thinking of bringing him back for another review. He's such an eloquent and an amiable gentleman with a lot of wisdom. I'm sure you will want to hear him speak again. And for those of us who have not heard him, I'm sure you'll be delighted to have him. The power of self-discipline is a topic that is very important. And we had Mr. Wale Agbenyonge, who discussed the power of self-discipline through a book by Brian Tracy. Mr. Agbenyonge is a financial expert who took us through that journey, and we cannot thank him enough for an insightful evening in September last year. Then we had the Power Book Review. When I say the Power Book Review, it was the 10th one, which was the beginning of our first year anniversary celebrations. So like I said, the TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club started in October 2021. So this review in October 2022 was actually the 10th one, and it was our first year anniversary. So we had Mr. Wale Oyedeji, who took us through the book by James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. Very, 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 very fantastic evening, if you ask me. But so sequel to that, the icing on the cake was our first physical book review. So usually these book reviews are virtual, but for our first year anniversary, we decided to do a physical book review in November, although, I mean, October was really the anniversary, and it was still, like I said, a celebration of 1 year of the TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club. So the physical book review held at the Cilantro Restaurant with, of course, the Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka. Needless to say, it was a magical evening. So the beginning of this year found us reviewing a book by an author himself. So usually we have authors, then we have guests. But the author this time around was actually our guest, and it was Dr. Glenn Arekion, who wrote his book titled Turning Your Dreams into Reality. So this really was the first time we'll have an author to review his own book. And trust me when I say that we would have more of that this year and even possibly next month. So please stay tuned. Who Moved My Cheese is yet another book most of us would be familiar with, authored by Dr. Spencer Johnson. And if you know Mr. Segun Akintemi, who was our guest, he was the one who actually took us through the book review in another dimension, and that I didn't even expect. And as always, we had fun discussing that small but very interesting book about the little people. Ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned earlier, tomorrow is World Book and Copyright Day, and we're excited about bringing a reading culture back to our society. And so today, we have with us our guest, a gentle, amiable, eloquent, and an intellectual by the name Mr. Bayo Ajayi. But before I yield the floor to him, I'd like to, I think Pastor Itwa is online now. I'd like to invite Pastor Itwa, who obviously needs no introduction, to please say a few words about the book club or today's review of The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. By the way, before Pastor comes up, Pastor actually made all ministers of the church and heads of departments of the church read this book. So you can imagine how interesting the book is. So Pastor Itwa, are you there now? The floor is yours. You can please unmute. Pastor Itwa.
Tommy, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Tomero Bukero.
Pastor.
I'll leave the last one.
No, please.
Tomero Bukero.
No, Pastor. Don't wash my dirty linen in public, sir.
Well, it's not so dirty, but
well, it's not dirty. But don't bring my ashiri onto the platform.
Tomero Bukero. Thank you very much. I think we should thank Tommy. Tommy is so passionate about this book reviews and TRI-METROPOLITAN Club. And she's doing an awesome job. Tommy, thank you very much. But Arekion wasn't the first author to review his own book. It was Wole Soyinka who reviewed his own book and another book.
Yes.
And as you said, it was a magical evening. So I hope you are going to bring another magical author to do a book review for us. Dr. Yemi Ogumbi wrote his own book. It might be nice to think of bringing him to do that. And that could also be a physical review at some stage, and so on and so forth. It's a beautiful book. I've not read it really, but I've seen some excerpts from it. But this monk who sold his Ferrari, really, really captivated me. Very, very interesting book. And it was written by a guy who I think himself must have some tendencies to either be a monk or a Buddhist or something like that. But it revealed to me that the truths of life are eternal. The truths of life are eternal. They don't change. And if we all can pick up the truths of life, we will be able to live a very diligent life. Tommy was talking about the diet, the book on the diet, and how now she's eating vegetables and things like that. Even this book by Robin Sharma talks a little bit about that, the vegetable diet that helps people live long lives. So after it's been proven in Japan that people live long, 90, 100, not because of genes, but because of lifestyle. They eat fresh food, mainly vegetables, a little bit of seafood. They take long walks on a regular basis. They exercise. They take life easy. There's contentment. And there's a lot of love and respect for the aged. They are specially looked after. So little wonder is it that they live for long. These are the truths of life. But this monk who sold his Ferrari, I think, is the story of a lawyer who suddenly found out that life does not consist of the abundance of things that a man has. Life does not consist of material things, but consists of eternal truth that, if followed, one can have a very, very brilliant and beautiful balance in life. Talks about godliness with contentment, talks about the power of the mind, exercising your mind and using your mind to control your destiny. I read it, I couldn't put it down, and thought it was important for as many people as possible to get a copy, starting with the leadership of the church. And we actually did discuss it at our leadership retreat a couple of weeks ago. And since then, I think I've gotten another set of people to discuss it. I have a group of young people that I mentor, and they meet with me once a month. I also got them to discuss that book and to look at the truths in there. Very, very, very similar, almost equivalent to the truths you'll also find in the Bible if you seek for them. I'd like to welcome our reviewer today, and I know that justice will be done to this little book, but very, very powerful book. And by the end of it all, we all will be much wiser and know better about the things of life. Life is a beautiful journey if we live it according to the rules of that journey. We don't need to go through most of the upheavals, anxieties, tensions that we go through in life. Most of them are caused due to lack of knowledge. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, says God, I also have rejected you. It's really lack of knowledge, ignorance, wrong assumptions about life. 90% of the marriage counseling that I do is not because both people cannot make the marriage work. It's simply because the assumptions at the beginning were wrong. This is an old friend of mine about my age. He and his wife, they broke up about 13 years ago. And here we were just chatting, me and him. And I was asking him, but why did you and so break up? Say, oh boy, myself, I don't know, Papa. Myself, I don't know. In fact, I'm looking back now, those things were so mundane and insignificant. I wish I was more mature and wiser. I would have handled everything a little bit differently. Hindsight, they say, is 2020 vision. Ladies and gentlemen, look forward to a brilliant evening. and welcome to the world of life, light, and knowledge. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Pastor Itwa, Pastor Prince Itwa. I won't tell them how you got the prince, Pastor Prince Itwa. Thank you very much. Thank you. Indeed, the book is an interesting one, and we look forward to listening to Mr. Bayo Ajayi. So very quickly, I'd like to introduce our guest for this evening, Mr. Bayo Ajayi. Bayo Ajayi currently holds the position of Executive Director, CFO of Rand Merchant Bank Nigeria, and he has over 24 years experience in the banking industry. He started his banking career in operations with the former Standard Trust Bank and later joined Lead Bank PLC as head of branch operations before moving over to finance. Before joining Rand Merchant Bank as a CFO and now the executive director in 2015, Bayo worked in Citibank Nigeria Limited, joining as head of regulatory reporting and tax, and rose to become the CFO. He also served in Citibank Cameroon as chief financial officer. Bayo Ajayi holds a Bachelor of Science degree in chemical engineering from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. He is a fellow of both the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICAN, and the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants in United Kingdom, ACCA. He is an ordained pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. He's married to his beautiful wife, who I have seen on this platform this evening, and his 3 handsome sons, and he enjoys playing Scrabble in his spare time. Mr. Bayo Ajayi, thank you very much for coming this evening. We really appreciate you. I know I've stressed you over the last few months that we needed you to be here. So now you're here. Thank you once again for making it this month. The floor is yours, and I will just project your slides, and let me slideshow. Yeah. Hang on a second. Oh. Okay. So, Mr. Bayo Ajayi, Pastor B, as I call you, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tony. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you.
I know you're soft-spoken, so you need to please project your voice a little bit louder. Thank you.
All right. I'll try and do that. Thank you very much, Tony. And also thank you to Pastor Itwa for all that he does, and I think also thank you for helping to introduce the book. I don't think I would have put it in a better way. I think Tommy started to talk to me about being one of the reviewers some months back, and I found a way to probably dodge it. But when you know Tommy, once she wants something, you can't say no. And of course, she finally got me to commit to doing this. She did give me options of books that I could actually review. But then I saw this one, and it said about the monk who sold his Ferrari. And I started to think, okay, a monk and then a Ferrari. I mean, I couldn't place the two. So I decided to pick this book. And I definitely, I'm very glad that this is the book I picked. It's a very, very, very good book for anyone looking to transform their life, looking to be able to glean insight into what you can do to be a better person. So the book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, is a fable about fulfilling your dreams and reaching your destiny. The author of the book, Tommy, I don't know if you've started sharing.
Yes, can you see it? I'm actually sharing. Can you see the slides?
Not on my side. I don't know if others can see. But...
Oh, really? Can somebody else please confirm if they can see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Yes, you can see.
Okay.
I can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, that's fine. That's probably then an issue on my side, but that's okay. So the book is authored by Robin Sharma. Robin Sharma is considered to be one of the top leading experts in the world when it comes to professional speaking. He has been described as a globally respected humanitarian devoted to helping humans realize their native gifts. He's a best-selling author, and one of his books is A Leader Who Had No Title. A very interesting title for a book also, as I would say. So why do I like this book? The book is very practical. It basically speaks to practical wisdom that anyone can apply, irrespective of your religion, irrespective of your belief. So I'm hoping that for those that have read the book, as we go through the book, some of the things that I would speak to would further reinforce what it is, what you've learned about the book. And for those that are yet to read the book, I'm also hoping that going through this would give you insight and probably convince you to go pick up the book and also read it so that you can gain more insight. So moving on to chapter 1 of the book, which is the title, The Wake Up Call. This book started more like in an almost tragic situation, introducing the main character in a near-death experience. That main character is Julian Mantle. It's actually one of the country's most distinguished trial lawyer. Julian had collapsed right in the middle of a packed courtroom. In the same arena, he had held sway and captivated so many over the years. Julian now is the one that is down. Julian is the one that is struggling with debt and no one to plead his case. Over the years, Julian has stood in the middle of that court and pleaded a lot of people's cases and won. But now the great Julian is now reduced to a helpless victim. Julian Mantle is a man of means, well known for his $3,000 Italian suit. He's a tough guy, hard driving, worked 18 hours a day for the success he believed was his destiny. And I'm sure a lot of us can resonate with that. He became enormously successful, and part of his prized possession is this red, shiny Ferrari, which he usually parked in the middle of his driveway. We were told that Julian was 53 years old, although he looked as if he was in his late 70s, as he actually drove himself deeper into the ground. We were told that Julian had suffered a tragedy at some point in his life, although that tragedy was not revealed to us in the first chapter. But it seems as if the reason for the downward spiral of his life was due to this tragedy. His marriage had failed. He no longer spoke to his father. He had every material possession anyone could think of. I mean, and Pastor Ita spoke about the fact that life does not consist of the material that we have. But he had everything, but still he was not satisfied. But he kept on driving himself until he collapsed. I mean, he drove himself deeper and deeper into the ground, and this affected him emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Sadly, he started to lose focus in the courtroom too, and then it happened. The great Julian Mantle suffered a heart attack in court in the middle of a trial. The first chapter was narrated to us by John, who will come to know, a mentee to Julian. And then, of course, we will move on to chapter 2. Chapter 2 title is The Mysterious Visitor. And we were told that Julian survived the heart attack, but after that, he came to a realization that there's more to life than law. And so he decided to leave the law firm. He gave up his practice. He sold everything that he has, including his red Ferrari, and headed off on a trip of discovery. We took him to Asia, we took him to Thailand, to Nepal, to India, for some kind of expedition, for some kind of discovery. And then 3 years passed. John, who was Julian's mentee, has changed from being a very overworked young lawyer to someone who now spent more time with his family, played golf on Saturdays. From time to time, he wondered what had happened to Julian. But then in chapter 2, A day came, a knock on the door of John. He had a mysterious visitor, a smiling man in his mid-30s, tall, lean, and muscular, radiating an abundance of vitality and energy, probably with a six-pack. I wish that was me. And then, of course, the man, the 53-year-old man was probably now 56, who used to look like someone in his 70s, is now being described as someone in his mid-30s. Is the visitor, someone whose underlying peacefulness gave him an almost divine presence. Alas, this visitor is Julian Mantle, reborn, rebirthed, transformed, and revitalized. That led us to chapter 3. How did Julian transform his life? The title for chapter 3 is The Miraculous Transformation of Julian Mantle. So in chapter 3, he entered the new transformed Julian Mantle. He had to make a decision to either give up the law or give up his life. And he made the right decision. He decided to give up law so that he could have his life back. He told of his travels across India and the realization that he had to begin a spiritual voyage to rekindle the spark he had lost. His search led him to the Himalayas and his meeting with Yogi Krishnan, who told him about the sages of Savannah. Moving on to chapter 4. Chapter 4's title, A Magical Meeting with the Sages of Savannah. So Julian arrived at Nirvana of Savannah, and in his immersion and introduction into the magical world of the sages of Savannah, he began a search. The sages of Savannah are a group of people or monks who live in a remote mountain oasis with keys to living a delightful and satisfying life. So Julian's magical meeting with the sages began a transformation journey in his life. And when he met the sages, his search was over, and he knew he had come to a destination, and in Savannah, he would find what he had been searching for. And reading this book, I believe that some of us also would have found different wisdom to help us in our journey to a better discovery and to a better life, which is something that I experienced, and I do believe that a lot of us would have experienced that also. Chapter 5, it's titled The Spiritual Student of the Sages. In chapter 5, we're told about how Julian became a spiritual student. He embraced the reality and humbled himself to become a student, not an ordinary student, but a spiritual student. He had the affection of the monks, and they accepted him as part of their family. We're told that Julian soaked himself into the teachings under the tutelage of Yogi Raman. Yogi Raman became his tutor. Yogi Raman taught him almost everything that he knew, and as we go along, would unfold the things that Yogi Raman taught Julian. He opened himself up to unlearn, to learn, and to relearn. I think that's an important thing that every one of us must be committed to doing. Being able to just stop and take in new things. He came to the realization that success on the outside means nothing unless you also have success within. Julian learned that self-mastery, that is knowing yourself, and the consistent care of one's mind, body, and soul are essential to finding one's higher self and living the life of one's dream. As a wrap up on chapter 5, some thoughts that I'd like you to consider. How can you care for yourself? How can you care for others if you don't care for yourself? How can you do good if you don't feel good? How can you love someone if you cannot love yourself? Chapter 6 spoke about, the title for chapter 6 is The Wisdom of Personal Change. In Julian's transformation journey, he committed to passing on the wisdom to others, and so he began the process of passing on the knowledge that Yogi Raman and the monks taught him to his mentee, John. And that's also a great thing about this book. It's not just about yourself, but there's a lot of fulfillment when you pass the knowledge on to others. There's a saying that says that a candle loses nothing by giving light to others. And that's basically what Julian did. He stressed the need for anyone looking to learn to first empty their cup so that there can be space for new things. Imagine a cup that is full and you begin to pour into that cup. No matter how much you pour into it, it will never take in anything more. But when the cup is empty, then it will take in things. And that's speaking to us. If you look at ourselves, if you think you know it all, if you think you have everything that you have, then it will be very difficult for you to learn. It will be very difficult for you to take in more. So we must all learn to empty ourselves and just give space for new things to come. When you improve your life, you don't only benefit, it also benefits those around you. It's only when you have opened your heart that you can touch the heart of others. And that's what this book is doing, or has done, at least for me, in terms of just being able to touch my heart and also being able to take it in and also passing it on to others, which is something I've also committed to do as Julian. In chapter 6, Julian revealed that the heart of the surveillance system were 7 basic virtues, 7 fundamental principles, which embodied the keys to self-leadership, personal responsibility, and spiritual enlightenment. These 7 virtues were contained in a mystical fable with 7 symbols, each representing a virtue. And that symbol is the garden, the lighthouse, the sumo wrestler, the pink wire cable, the stopwatch, the roses, and the winding path of diamond. Julian is convinced that by applying the wisdom from the fundamental truth this fable represents on a daily basis and embracing it without reservation will drive a change in you. And that speaks about the fable which Julian told John about, which he also got from Yogi Raman, was about a garden. And where you have that garden, there was a lighthouse. And out of the lighthouse came a sumo wrestler. And that sumo wrestler stepped out onto the garden. And of course, it was wearing nothing but a pink wire cable. And he found a stopwatch. He also, from the garden, he was also able to pick up some roses, and then he fell. And by the time he woke up, he discovered the winding path of diamond, which led him to a life of eternal fulfillment. But we'll speak about all that. The next 7 chapters basically look at each one of these symbols, which basically represents a virtue. And then we'll just try and talk about how the author used that to speak about life and also spirit truths that can help us in developing ourselves. So chapter 7 speaks about a most extraordinary garden, which is the first symbol. The magnificent garden refers to our mind. That symbol, the garden, the fable, is a symbol of the mind. And if you care for your mind, if you nurture it, if you cultivate it, just like a fertile, rich garden, it will blossom far beyond your expectation. But if you do not pay attention to your mind, if you let the weeds take root, lasting peace and deep inner harmony will always elude you. To live life to the fullest, stand guard at the gates of your garden. There's a saying also in the Bible also, which talks about guarding your heart with all diligence, because from out of it flows the issues of life. Our heart it's the most precious part of our life. And the more you got it, the more you check what you feed into it, the more you nurture it, the better your life would be. This virtue about this symbol, the garden, is about mastering your mind. It speaks to mind management, and it tells us that mind management is the essence of life management. Mental mastery comes through conditioning, nothing more and nothing less. For you to master your mind, you must learn to condition your mind. It's about how do you nurture it? What do you allow into your mind? What do you think about? And it's important for you to always think about protecting your mind so that out of it can come the right things. What are the wisdom that I learned from chapter 7? 1, cultivating your mind is very important. It will blossom when you cultivate your mind. It will blossom beyond your expectation. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thoughts. There are no mistakes in life, only lessons. We must learn to see setbacks as opportunities for personal expansion and spiritual growth. There's no such thing as negative experience, only opportunities to grow. From struggle comes strength. Pain is a teacher. To transcend pain, you must first experience it. To savor the good, one must know the bad. Because it's only when you know what is bad that when you experience good, you can appreciate what is good. Your mind is like a muscle, like any other muscle in your body. Use it or lose it. The same way we train ourselves so that we can have the six-pack, we must also learn to train our mind so that out of it, we'll begin to yield good fruits. The boundaries of your life are merely creations of the self. You are the only one that can put limits on what is possible. Peaceful, meaningful thoughts equal peaceful, meaningful life. I want to say that again. Peaceful, meaningful thoughts equal peaceful, meaningful life. Quick fixes do not work. It's a journey of consistency. You know that when we think about we want to exercise, and then that first day you go and then you do the 3 or 5 kilometers, and of course you won't see anything. But it's about the consistency. The more you do it, the more you get used to it. And we also told, excuse me, that the less you focus on the end result, the quicker it will come. Excuse me. Because the more we focus on the end result at the beginning, the more anxious we become. But when you don't focus on the end result, but you focus on the task, you focus on the building, you focus on the consistency, then before you know it, you will then begin to see the results that you desire. Lastly, concentration is at the root of mental mastery. And then the secret of happiness. What's the secret of happiness? We're told that we must find out what your purpose and passion is. Of course, that purpose and passion, I would expect that for every one of us, it must be something that is worthy, something that is good. And we were told to direct all your energy towards doing it. And in doing that, we'll find happiness. In chapter 7 also, we're given what are the techniques that you can use to be able to ensure that you do master your mind. Some options that are given is the art of the rose, opposition thinking, and the secret of the lake. It talks about the power of positive thinking. The mind can only focus on one thought at a time. We must learn to create a positive, creative mindset always. And when I read that, I tried to say, okay, can I think about two things at the same time? It's not. You find that you think about one thing and then you're able to go to the next. But thinking about two things at the same time is almost impossible. So if you want to live life to the fullest, care for your thoughts as you hold your most prized possessions. A worrisome thought is like an embryo. It starts off small, but grows and grows as you feed it, and soon it takes on a life of its own. A worrisome thought is like an embryo. It starts off small, but grows and grows as you feed it, and soon it takes on a life of its own. Again, speaking to the fact that we must make sure that we check what we're thinking about. Otherwise, because when you think negative thought, whether you like it or not, it starts to have a life of its own. And before you know it, assumptions and everything come, and you start to take action that really you shouldn't have, you should not be taking. One of the techniques is also, the chapter 7 also spoke about, is a secret lake, which the sages also revealed to Julian. And what's this? It's basically about using positive images to influence the mind. I like to end chapter 7 by a quote, which says, "The secret of happiness is simple. Find out what you truly love to do, and then direct all your energy towards doing it. Once you do this, abundance flows into your life, and all your desires are filled with ease and grace." But I had a reading chapter 7. I also had a favorite quote, which says, "Do not be concerned with the judgment of others, as long as you know what you're doing is right, according to your conscience and your heart. Never be ashamed of doing what is right. Never measure your self-worth against people's net worth." Of course, when you think about chapter 7, it largely speaks about godliness, or that quote speaks about godliness with contentment is great gain. Chapter 8, the title for chapter 8 is Kindling Your Inner Fire, and the symbol is the towering lighthouse. And the virtue that chapter 8 speaks to is about following your purpose. And that chapter starts with a quote from Foster C. McLean. It says, "Trust yourself. Create the kind of life you will be happy to live with all your life. Make the most of yourself by fanning the tiny inner sparks of possibility into flames of achievement." That symbol, the lighthouse, represents the power of goals and the importance of discovering your calling in life. There's no point for anyone to live on this earth without discovering what your calling is, without living a life of purpose. Chapter 8 tells us that those who are truly enlightened know what they want out of life. Clearly defined priorities and goals for every aspect of your life serves a role and offers you guidance and refuge when the seas become rough. You know, when you're lost at sea and then you find a lighthouse, it leads you, it's more like a pointer for you to know where to go. And that's what setting goals would help you to do, because then you have what you're working towards. Chapter 8 also tells us that anyone can revolutionize their lives once they revolutionize the direction in which they are moving. Anyone can revolutionize their lives once they revolutionize the direction in which they are moving. And it's never too late to stop. It's never too late to check, just as Julian did. He got to a point where he had to stop and relook at his life and make the right decision to transform his life. As you strive to improve the lives of others, your own life will be elevated into the highest dimensions. As Julian's life was improved by the monks, by Yogi Raman, he also committed to improving the life of his mentee, John. And that's something that all of us must commit to, that I also learned from this book, is about life is about giving. Life is about how much you do impact others. Chapter 8 also tells us that he who serves the most reaps the most. emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And this is the way to inner peace and outer fulfillment. The virtue, as I mentioned, is about following your purpose. And the real source of happiness can be stated in a word: achievement. Lasting happiness comes from steadily working to achieve your goals and advancing steadily in the direction of your life's purpose. This is the secret of kindling the inner fire that lurks within you. I'm sure when you set a goal or you set your mind to do something and you are able to achieve it, there's a fulfillment that comes with that. Imagine if everything about your life is about purpose and setting goals and working towards the achievement of that goal. We're told by the sages of Savannah in that chapter 8 that everything that they did had a purpose. And so for every one of us, we must learn to ensure that our life is a life of purpose. You must know your life's aim and then manifest this vision or purpose into reality by consistent action. The sages refer to this as Dharma, life's purpose. Lifelong fulfillment will come from the fulfillment of your Dharma. That is, if you're talking about lifelong fulfillment, it will come from the fulfillment of your life purpose. So the earlier we find out what that life purpose is, the better for us. Every one of us has a heroic mission we have been created to fulfill while on this earth. We have all been granted a unique set of gifts and talents that will readily allow us to realize this life work. The key is to discover them, and in doing so, discover the main objective of your life. Part of the wisdom that chapter 8 revealed is that the purpose of life is a life of purpose. Discovering and then realizing your life work brings lasting fulfillment. So we're told to set clearly defined personal, professional, and spiritual goals, and then have the courage to act on them. We're told that self-knowledge is the DNA of self-enlightenment. Goal setting is the starting point. Mapping out your objectives and your goals releases the creative juices, which get you on the path of purpose. Anyone who wishes to improve the quality of their inner life, as well as their inner as well as their outer world, will do well to take a piece of paper and start writing out their life aims. You will never be able to hit a target that you cannot see. So it's important that you write it out, make it plain, and so that at every point in time, you know what it is that you're working towards. The sages truly believe that a day without laughter or a day without love was a day without life. So we must ensure that our days are filled with laughter, our days are filled with love. Never regret the past. There's a purpose for everything that has ever happened to you and everything that will happen to you. Every experience offers lessons. There's nothing you can do about the past, as we're told. The past is gone, but you can action what your future will be. We're told to have a passion for life. A burning sense of passion is the most potent fuel for your dreams. What lies behind you and what lies in front of you is nothing when compared with what lies within you. I like to say that again. What lies behind you, that is the past, and what lies in front of you is nothing when compared with what lies within you. There is power within you. And the earlier we start to activate that power to be able to achieve the purpose that we have been called to, the better for us, as we have been told. So what techniques can you use to be able to kindle your inner fire? One is the power of self-examination. Chapter 8 gives us 8 steps that we can follow to be able to achieve this. We're told that you master the act of goal setting and goal getting by starting off small. Getting good at accomplishing little feats prepare you for realizing the big ones. And what are those steps? The 5 steps that we're given. One is to form a clear mental image of the outcome. Create some positive pressure. Number 2, create some positive pressure on yourself. For example, make a public pledge. Of course, tell someone about it. There's no point for you to set out. For instance, if you say that you want to lose weight and you just know it within yourself, no one is putting pressure on you. But when you tell people that, oh, you are going to lose 10 kg before a certain time, you will start to work towards it because everyone will be checking you and telling you if you made it or you did not. So create some positive pressure on yourself. For example, make it public. Attach a timeline to your goal. Commit it to paper. Apply the magic rule of 21. And what's that magic rule of 21? Which says that for any new behavior to crystallize into a habit, one had to perform that new activity for 21 days in a row. And think about it, whatever it is, even if you decide that you want to start walking every day, if you walk consistently for 21 days, you find that it just becomes a part of you. No one will need to wake you up or to tell, but if you just keep at it for 21 days, it becomes a habit. I like to end chapter 8 with a quote, which says, never forget the importance of living with unbridled exhilaration. Never neglect to see the exquisite beauty in all living things. Today and this very moment is a gift. Stay focused on your purpose. The universe will take care of everything else. Going on to chapter 9. Chapter 9's title is The Ancient Heart of Self-Leadership. And of course, the symbol here is a sumo wrestler. And the virtue that we're speaking to in chapter 9 is about practice Kaizen. Kaizen means continuous improvement, continuous improvement. It's a Japanese word meaning constant and never-ending improvement. How can you lead a corporation if you cannot lead yourself? How could you nurture a family if you haven't learned to nurture and care for yourself? How could you possibly do good if you don't feel good? And of course, achieving this thing, being the best at what you do, is just being consistent, improving on a daily basis. No one became the best overnight. It's consistency, it's tenacity, and discipline. How can the wisdom that I picked from reading chapter 9 says self-mastery is the DNA of life mastery. And as you would see, some of the things are repeated in some of the chapters, but basically to further reinforce that all these things are connected. Once you commit to it and you start to do it, you begin to build the life that you desire. It goes beyond the importance of daily exercise, a healthful diet, and a balanced lifestyle. Talking about self-mastery now, it speaks to building strength of character, developing mental toughness, and living with courage. The author is of the view that these three attributes will lead not only to a virtuous life, but to a life filled with achievement, satisfaction, and inner peace. We're encouraged in chapter 9 to dedicate our energies to unlocking the full potential of our mind, body, and soul. We're told that improving our mind without cultivating your physical gifts will be a very hollow victory. Elevating your mind and body to their highest without nurturing your soul will leave you empty and unfulfilled. Of course, we know that in chapter 7, we talked about nurturing your mind. But now chapter 9 is now telling us that it's not just about the mind, but you also need to focus on your physical and also your soul. When you dare to get out of your circle to comfort and explore the unknown, you start to liberate your true human potential. Identify the things holding you back. Make a written inventory of your weaknesses. Take some time to reflect on what it is that might be keeping you from the life you really want and know deep down you can have. Once you have identified them, The next step is to face them head on and attack your fears. You must understand that fear is your own creation, like any other creation. It's just as easy to tear it down as it is to erect it. I like to say that again. You must understand that fear is your own creation, like any other creation. It is just as easy to tear it down as it is to erect it. When you erase fear from your mind, you start to look younger and your health becomes more vibrant. Once you get yourself together, your world will be okay. Once you master your mind, body, and character, happiness and abundance will flow into your life almost magically. Spend some time daily to work on yourself, even if for 10 or 15 minutes. What sets highly actualized people apart from those who never lived inspired lives is that they do those things that less developed people don't like doing. I like to take that again. What sets highly actualized people apart from those who never lived inspired lives is that they do those things that less developed people don't like doing, even though they might not like doing them either. So highly actualized people focus, they understand what their life purpose is, and they work at it on a daily basis. And it's never easy. No pain, no gain. They just keep at it and they become the best at what they do. What techniques can be used to be able to, on this part of self-leadership? One, we're told that we should do the things that we fear, but we're also given 10 ancient rituals for radiant living. Yogi Raman offered Julian the 10 ancient rituals of radiant living, which he in turn taught John, recommending that he spends an hour a day tending to himself for 30 days. What are those 10 rituals? Number one is the ritual of solitude. Daily schedule to include a mandatory period of peace. Just setting time out for yourself and just focusing on yourself. Number two is the ritual of physicality. And that's about training your body. So you are training your body and training your mind. As you train your body, so you train your mind. Number three is the ritual of life nourishment. We're encouraged to eat live food. That is food that are not dead. Pastor Ito also spoke about that, and I believe referencing one of the reviews that we did that was done. Eat live food, eat food that are not dead. Number four is the ritual of abundant knowledge. Regularly read what will improve you, what will improve your quality, the quality of your life. A lot of us read, but we must ensure that we are reading what will add to us, what will improve our quality of life. And thank you to Dr. Tommy for this. Number five is the ritual of personal reflection, taking time to think. Think to thrive and not to survive. Think to thrive and not to survive. Number six is the ritual of early awakening. We're encouraged to rise with the sun and start the day off well. Rise with the sun and start the day off well. Because the sages of Savannah will wake up once the sun rises and they start up their days. And that's part of how they are able to tap to ensure that they live life to the fullest. Number seven is the ritual of music. We must be encouraged to tap into the power of music. And there's always a chance to do that while we're driving to work or driving back from work, but we must embrace music. Number eight is the ritual of spoken word. Affirmation of all that is good through mantras. I will speak about mantras in one of the chapters. Number nine is the ritual of congruent character. And it is about taking daily incremental action to build your character. And we all, there are things that we know as our weaknesses. There are things that we would like to change in our life. We talk about it, but we never take action to it. To encourage to take action, daily action, to improve that character. It talks about that strengthening your character affects the way you see yourselves and the action you take. The actions you take come together to form your habits. Your habits lead you to your destiny. Yogi Raman put it as, you sow a thought, you reap an action. You reap an action, you sow a habit. You sow a habit, you reap a character. You sow a character, you reap your destiny. The 10th ritual is a ritual of simplicity, and we're encouraged to live a simple life. Never live in the thick of thin things. Living a simple life. Because sometimes we put ourselves under pressure, trying to be what we strive for things that ordinarily maybe will come with time, but we want to get it done immediately, and that puts a lot of pressure on life. So we encourage to live a simple life. I'd also like to close chapter 9 with the quote. The universe favors the brave. When you resolve to lift your life to its highest, to its highest level, the strength of your soul will guide you to a magical place with magnificent treasures. Another quote is, failure is essential to success in any endeavor. Failure tests us and allows us to grow. It offers us lessons and guides us along the path of enlightenment. Never fear failure. Failure is your friend. Sometimes the fear of failure holds us back. But yeah, how do you appreciate success if you have not failed? That leads me to chapter 10. And chapter 10 speaks about the power of discipline. The symbol in chapter 10 is the pink wire cable. And this serves to remind one of the power of self-control and discipline in building a richer, happier, and more enlightened life. The virtue here is live with discipline. Live with discipline. And to build a wheel of iron, it's essential to take small, tiny acts in tribute to the virtue of personal discipline. Routinely performed, the little acts pile on top, one on top another, to eventually produce an abundance of inner strength, like the wire cable. Part of the wisdom from chapter 10, part of the wisdom is discipline is built by consistently performing small acts of courage. The more you nurture the embryo of self-discipline, the more it will mature. Willpower is the essential virtue of a fully actualized life. When you liberate your willpower, you become the master of your personal world. Self-discipline will provide you with the mental reserves required to persevere when life throws you one of its little curves. Building self-control and discipline into your life will also bring you a tremendous sense of freedom. Don't race against others, race against yourself. We're told in chapter 10 that thoughts don't just happen. So take control of your thoughts. You have the power to control every single thought you think, every second of every minute of every day. And when you control your thoughts, you control your mind. When you control your mind, you control your life. And once you reach the stage of being in total control of your life, you become the master of your destiny. The techniques that were given in chapter 10 is about mantras, creative envisioning. Yogi Raman introduced Julian to mantra to repeat it at least 30 times a day. Words are powerful and are great influencers. By filling your mind with words of hope, you become hopeful. By filling your mind with words of kindness, you become kind. By filling your mind with words of courage, you become courageous. Combining the repetition of the mantra with envisioning yourself as you hope to be is a powerful tool. Change will not come in a day. Small victories lead to large victories. I'll end chapter 10 with the quote, "Wage war against the wicked thoughts that have crept into the palace of your mind. They will see that they are unwanted and live like unwanted visitors." Chapter 11, title is Your Most Precious Commodity. And of course, we know what that commodity is, which is about respecting our time. The symbol is the gold stopwatch, which basically represents time. And the virtue is about respecting your time. By the time most people figure out what they really want and how to go about attaining it, it's usually too late. Those who use time wisely from an early age are rewarded with rich, productive, and satisfying life. Part of the wisdom from chapter 11 is that time is your most precious commodity and it is non-renewable. Focus on your priorities and maintain balance. Simplify your life. Time mastery leads to life mastery. Guard time well, it's a non-renewable resource. Failing to plan your time is planning to fail. Those who are masters of their time live simple lives. And the techniques that we can use in being able to master our time is that don't let others steal your time. Be wary of time thieves. Have the courage to say no. You must be ruthless with your time, having the courage to say no to the little things in life. Having the courage to say no to the little things in life will give you the power to say yes to the big things. Ending chapter 11 with the quote, "Time slips through our hands like grains of sand, never to return again. Those who use time wisely at an early age are rewarded with rich, productive, and satisfying life." Wipe out every thought of not achieving your objectives. Be brave and set no limits on the workings of your imagination. Never be a prisoner of your past. Become the architect of your future. You will never be the same. Moving on to chapter 12. The title for chapter 12 is The Ultimate Purpose of Life. And the symbol from the fable is the fragrant roses. And the virtue that chapter 12 speaks to is selflessly serving others. When you take care to practice random acts of kindness daily, your own life becomes far richer and far meaningful. The quality of your life will come down to the quality of your contribution. The wisdom that I picked from reading chapter 12 is that the quality of your life ultimately comes down to the quality of your contribution. And to cultivate the sacredness of each day, live to give. By elevating the lives of others, your life reaches its highest dimension. You must realize that just as you entered the world with nothing, you will leave with nothing when the time comes. This being the case, there can only be one real reason for you being here: to give yourself to others and to contribute in a meaningful way. When we think about that, of course, when we come in, we have nothing. When we are living, we're going to have nothing. So what's the purpose of life if not to ensure that between the time when you come and you leave, you give of yourself and contribute to humanity? We're encouraged to change our worldview. Stop seeing yourself purely as an individual and start seeing yourself as part of a collective. And if you're part of the collective, part of what you focus on is how to make the collective better and not just about how to make yourself better. Yogi Raman said that when you are born, you are crying, while the world rejoices at your arrival. He suggested that we live our lives in such a way that when we die, the world cries while we are rejoicing. The technique to use to be able to live selflessly, serve others, as given in chapter 12, is that we should practice daily acts of kindness. We must give to those who ask. We must cultivate richer relationships. We must cultivate solid friendships. Friends add humor, fascination, and beauty to our lives. Friends keep you humble. They help you not to take yourself too seriously. They help and offer hand in time of trouble. So we must ensure that we invest time to building lasting relationship. Ending chapter 12 with a quote: "The most noble thing you can do is to give to others. Start focusing on your higher purpose." That takes me to the last chapter, chapter 13, with the title, "The Timeless Secret of Lifelong Happiness." And the symbol from the fable is the part of diamonds. And that the virtue that chapter 13 speaks to is about embracing the present. That the fable ends with the sumo wrestler finding a long, winding path studded with millions of tiny diamonds. Expectedly, the sumo wrestler in the fable took the path, and in doing so, lived happily ever after. You can also have the life you deserve the very moment you start to understand that the path you are currently walking on is one rich with diamonds and other priceless treasures. But of course, for you to be able to do that, that means there must be some taking stock and looking at where you are and envisioning what path that you're on. If that path is leading you to a life that will give you, that is a part of diamond or a part of sorrow. The virtue, as I spoke about, is about embracing the present. The part of diamond in the fable serves to remind us of the final virtue for enlightened living, and it's about living in the now. The past is water under the bridge. The future is a distant sun on the horizon of your imagination. Focus on the present, embracing the present, because it's what you do in the present that will determine what the future will be like. The most important moment is now. The moment to change is now. The moment to reflect is now. The moment to take the decision about the right way is now. The wisdom is that we should live in the now. We should savor the gift of the present. Never sacrifice happiness for achievement. Savor the journey and live each day as your last. Never put up happiness for the sake of achievement. Happiness is a journey, not a destination. Today is the day to live fully. There will never be another one quite like it. Not when you win the lottery or when you retire. Today is the day to live fully. The size of your bank account and the size of your house has nothing to do with living a life with a sense of joy and wonder. There is a huge difference between making a lot of money and making a lot of life. We're told to live your children's childhood. I reflected a lot on that. We are told to practice gratitude. We're told to grow our destiny. Never ever forget the gift of family. Live your children's childhood. The best gift you could ever give your children is your love. Show them that they are far more important to you than the fleeting rewards of your professional career. Starting today, learn more, laugh more, and do what you truly love to do. The quote, "We are all here for some special reason. Stop being a prisoner of your past. Become the architect of your future." And chapter 13 ends with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. "When I admire the wonder of sunset or the beauty of the moon, my soul expands in worship of the Creator." It tells you that everything that we have, that we see, there's a creator of it all. And when our time is done, we're going to be standing in front of that creator. What would you say at that time? Would you have lived your life to the fullest? In conclusion, and as I recap, the 7 timeless virtues of enlightened living. 1 is about mastering your mind. Number 2 is to follow your purpose. Number 3 is to practice Kaizen, which is continuous improvement. Number 4 is living with discipline. Number 5 is respecting your time. Number 6 is selflessly serve others. And number 7 is embracing the present. Thank you.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. Thank you so much, Pastor B. I mean, 13 chapters in record time. Thank you once again. So, I mean, Pastor B has given a very fantastic review of the book. And like I said on the platform, the TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club platform, it's a really interesting book. In the chat room, a lot of people have started asking about how they can get books and all of that. So yes, you can get the books from Trinity House Book and Variety Store. We have a bookstore, and it's also a variety store where you can get other things, household items and all of that. So yes, you can get it, or any other bookstore close to you. So this book, very interesting book, very enlightening book, and I really, truly appreciate Mr. Bayo Ajayi or Pastor Bayo Ajayi. Thank you very much. And to be honest, everything he has said, I read the book. I mean, cover to cover, page by page, word for word, everything, because really it was really captivating. One of the things that I took out of it while I was reading that probably I didn't mention on the platform was, how can you care for others, or how can you love others if you don't care for yourself first or love yourself first? And as they say, how can you pour from an empty cup? So those are some of the things that actually resonate within me. I can see some hands up. We'll begin to call on a few of us for some comments. And again, success starts from within us before we begin to talk about success outside of us. So the book talked about a lot of things that have actually helped me. I mentioned on the platform as well that it has transformed my life, and I kid you not, and I'm not lying about it, in terms of a lot of things, time management. Yes, I wake up early most times, but I find that now I even wake up a little earlier. And when I start my day a little earlier, it helps me to accomplish a lot. So some of the things that I will have, I wake up an hour earlier now. So it helps me, it's like it just seems like I have an hour fast forward and I can achieve so many things. If I need to do stuff on my laptop, I get them ready quite quickly, or if I need to sort out the kids or whatever I need to do, getting up an hour early actually helped me, and it doesn't steal away from my the number of hours of rest that I get. Again, eating right. Like we said, we've done a book review about health, lifestyle, and all of that. Eating right is very important, even as we all are getting older. For me, I'm a sweet tooth. Anybody that knows me, I can take 10 bottles of Coke in a day. Yes, I said so, and that's the truth. Then, take chocolates, take biscuits, cake, and all of that. But now, I've tried to cut down. There's a lady, she's on the platform right now. She did a 3-day, not diet, but a challenge. And in those 3 days, I didn't take any fizzy drink. So I know that, yes, it's possible for me to live life healthier than I've been living my life. And of course, controlling my thoughts. The author referred to it as a garden. So you can imagine your thoughts being like a garden, flourishing, nourishing the garden, and a whole lot of things. But I'm not about to review the book again, like I always say. But so I'll call on some of us. We've started raising up our hands. But I was going through the chat room and looking at the participants, and I actually saw a few people. And I'd like to I don't know if he's still there, Mr. Shegun Akintemi. He was actually my mom who did the book review, the last book review before this one, on Who Moved My Cheese, that small book about the little people. Mr. Akintemi, are you still here? If he wants to give us one. Okay, Egbon, do you have any words for us? Thank God you're still here. Any words for us? I know you might not have read this book, but I'm sure you have one or two things to tell us this evening.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tomi, and thank you, Pastor Bayo, for a wonderful review and synopsis of a supposed simple but yet complicated book in terms of understanding the basics. I just want to be very brief. My own takings from the book. There was a quote that talks about the purpose of life being that is a life of purpose. A lot of us sometimes as human beings, we tend to underestimate ourselves. We actually forget the power that we have within us. And what that does is that it kills our subconscious power of positive thinking. So in everything towards life, we say, oh, we can't do it. or, oh, it's too much for us. But I have, over my experience with life, with work, with so many factors, realized that there's absolutely nothing impossible. And I learned this from a gentleman that told me about the fact that when you're trying to do, he tried a construction work and he was telling himself, oh, he's going to actually put up a big property. And he kept on going back and forth, back and forth. And he told himself, he said that, look, I'm going to do something big. Because if I start small, I would be so self-conceited with that small thing that I won't be able to develop myself. So we all tend to underestimate the power we have in us. Now, the second point is the fact that this book talks about our ability to touch others. And I think that's number 6, which talks about selflessly serving others. You know, I stumbled on a quote or some saying that a blessing is designed to be scattered. So keeping that blessing makes it dangerous to you and those around you. So it says a blessing is meant to be scattered. So a lot of us underestimate the blessing we have in us. And I must congratulate Tommy for this program, which has consistently been a blessing to others. Of course, using Pastor Ito as a point of reference. So we all have different blessings. But the problem we tend to, or we seem to have, is that we feel that saying you want to bless others is about money. That is the biggest undoing. The blessings could be in form of just giving someone a smile or stretching your hand forward to shake a hand. There are so many ways you can bless people, but your blessing, God blessing you on its own is meant for you to bless and touch others, and in several ways. So if we don't take anything away, we must take the fact that we must continue to bless others. And blessings come in different forms. We have all been blessed. Even if you don't have a dime in your pocket, you have the blessing of life. You have the blessing of love. So those things are more than enough for you to stretch out your hand to actually touch so many lives. I'd want to stop here and allow others to add a few more comments. Thank you so much, Tommy, again. This evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akitemi. Thank you. I appreciate you as always. Thank you, Eshe Goni. I have Mr. Ken Okochu, hand raised. You can unmute yourself, sir. And your comments, questions. Minister Ken, you should have read that book from cover to cover. No, Pastor Ito is here.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Tony. Thank you so much, Mr. Bayo, for your very detailed review. Well done, sir. Like Dr. Tommy alluded to at the inception of the book review, Pastor Ito actually mandated all ministers to read and discuss this book at our retreat, you know, and I must confess that I've been blessed, you know, by the timeless words of wisdom embedded in this book. Only 2 weeks ago, I met an individual who was contemplating giving up, you know, so I told him about this book and encouraged him to say positive words of affirmation to himself in front of a mirror on a daily basis. And this worked for him tremendously. And today he's found zest and hopeful again. And so I must thank you, Dr. Tommy, for introducing this book. I don't know how you do it, but on a monthly basis, I look forward to, you know, reading another insightful book. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless you too, Pastor Bayo, for the exhaustive book review. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Ken. Minister Ken is always at every book review, virtual, physical, monthly, all the time. So I really appreciate you. Thank you for your support of the book club. We appreciate you a great deal. Thank you very much. And like you said, words of affirmation, they're very important. I actually, during this particular book review or while we're reading it, some of the things I put on the platform on a certain day was about words of affirmation. And I said to myself, there were some things I wanted to achieve or some goals that I had, So I actually put this sticky note up in my bedroom, and every time I step into my bedroom, the first thing I do is to read those words of affirmation. And recall that I mentioned on the platform that this book has really transformed me, and that I would tell you the story sometime soon. I wasn't just joking in my usual manner, but really it has really transformed me, to be honest. So those words of affirmation, like you said, to encourage somebody else, they are actually very good. They are very spot on, very, very on point. Words of affirmation are good. It helps your thoughts. What you say happens first within you before you see it on the outside or outwardly. So yes, thank you for your comments. Thank you for that feedback. I don't know if we have any other person that wants to, who read the book. Some of us are new, some of us just joined for the very first time. So we really didn't quite read the book, but we flowed from what Pastor Bayo had said. And I've been reading from the chat room, fantastic comments. Pastor Bayo, thank you very much. Thank you, we appreciate you. The chat room is on fire with a lot of good, fantastic feedback and compliments. So do we have any other feedback? Any other person?
I have my hands raised, madam.
Okay, so sorry. Okay, sorry. Oh yes, Mr. Adefarasi, I apologize. Okay, please go on. Sorry.
First of all, I'd like to thank the promoter of this platform. That's in the person of Pastor Itwa Igodalo. I call him the visionary. And I also want to thank you, Dr. Tomi, for championing the cause of encouraging us to become book readers. Someone had said before that if you want to hide something from an African man, just put it in a book, and you are actually helping us to, disabuse the minds of those who have gone to the market with that notion. We are now becoming more and more, falling in love with books just because of this program. And I would like to also thank the presenter today. I have an acronym to describe his presentation. I call it CAR. It's clarity, it was appealing, and it's quite relatable. So thank you, Pastor Bayo. I really enjoyed it, even though I haven't read the book. I have let out the cat out of the bag that I haven't read it, but listening to you from chapters 1 to 13 have actually helped me, and has whetted my appetite to want to go to the book. So I'll go get my own copy. Now, the second thing I would like to say is about the purpose of life, and I would like to give an example quickly. I used to work in a company that's international, and I had a friend who was in IT, that is information technology. She was enjoying her job until she got to a leadership position. In that company, we call it team leadership position. And the moment you become a team leader, a lot of leadership qualities are expected. You're expected to supervise others. You're expected to lead them to achieve results. You're expected to prepare a lot of reports on your own, make presentations, represent your team at high-level meetings. When this friend of mine got to that level, she wasn't enjoying herself anymore because she was just a technical person. When she was not a team leader, she was more productive and delivering good results. Unknown to her that the reward for great results is more work. So when she got to that level, she started actually going down in her performance. And then there was an opportunity for her to volunteer for severance in that company. My friend Bola took that offer, and some of us asked her, Bola, but you are doing well. Why do you want to leave this company at this point in time? The pay is good, the ambience is good, and the future is bright for you. She told us, I just discovered that this is not my purpose in life. My purpose is actually to be a lecturer. Bola took the severance package, a very attractive package, left the shores of Nigeria, went to the UK with her family, and went back to school and started doing what she loves best. So why am I sharing that story? It's because of what the speaker said about finding your purpose in life. It's never too late to discover your purpose. Quite a number of us are actually doing work, a job that we don't enjoy, either in the banking sector, either in the lecturing university, or either in manufacturing. We are doing it just to make ends meet. And you discover that as long as you remain on such jobs or such roles, you are not fulfilled. You are not happy. On the surface, you look happy, you look great, you are earning well, but then by the time you withdraw to the corner of your room and you reflect, you begin to realize that you are underpaying yourself, so to say, when this world has much more to give to you. And you are not even going to be able to give your best to the world, as we have just been encouraged to do. So, be that as it may, I'm taking something away with me again today, that the moment I discover that I'm not enjoying either a relationship or a job or an assignment, the best thing is for me to just quickly bail out, so that for the sake of my sanity. The last part of my comment is around building consistency in habits. This is usually a difficult one, but I would like to put it to the speaker to help me. Now, you've just shared with us the 21-day rule, and truly I have heard that before, and I know it works. But then, when you've developed a particular habit, maybe for example, waking up early, and then 2 or 3 days in a row, for whatever reason, maybe you worked so late and you needed to deliver some key actions or key deliverables from the office, then you lose track of that waking up early. How do you go back to it? Do you have to start another 21 round of 21 day? Please help me, because it's something that I used to face, and I still face it now. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rotimi Adefarasi. Mr. Rotimi Adefarasi is an engineering and oil and gas guru. You know, he also was our guest, in fact, the second guest when we revealed what on earth am I here for, the purpose-driven life. So please thank him for us. And yes, one of the things you said was about if something is not working for you. That's what they wrote in the book, really. That's what the author said. I mean, you need to, do things that you're passionate about. And if something is not right for you or something is not good for you, you just leave it. I've done that in my life, but sometimes I always feel, is this not too drastic? Does this make sense? So some will tell me, oh, Tommy, you've done the right thing. Some will be like, Tommy, no, you should be a little bit patient. But, so reading this book and hearing your own experience as well tells me that I'm actually sane. Because sometimes I'm like, Tommy, are you raving mad? Jokingly, So if you don't enjoy something, ladies and gentlemen, quit it. Think about it. Pray about it. And it could be a relationship, it could be your job, it could be anything, So it's not like you should run away from any friendship or relationship or job, but, think about it. Pray about it. And if it's not in line with your passion and you're not living your life of purpose and you're not enjoying what you're really doing, you're just doing it because of the money. Time is running out fast. And before we know it, we're all old and gray. And you start thinking back, wondering if you've actually lived a life of purpose. So thank you very much. Yes, he mentioned about the consistency, about the 21 days. So I will leave that to Pastor B to answer. But so that we round up very quickly, we have just one more hand raised up. I don't know if it's still raised. Mr. Chris Amaji will take his comments or his question so that Pastor B can answer both together before we round up. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Adefarasi. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, Dr. Tomi. Good evening, Pastor Itua. Thank you so much. This is my first day. Actually, I've read the book, but I followed on the review. I have a question. I need more clarity. The book talks about opposition thinking. Opposition thinking. I understand that by time, many thoughts goes into our mind, and that is where everything boils down to. So I'm asking, how can we be able to, manage our thought and, apply the opposition thinking principle the book talk about? That's my question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chris, and we are glad to have you on this platform for the first time. If you'd like to join the book club, we have sent the numbers in the chat room, and welcome on board. Thank you for coming or attending this evening. We truly appreciate you. So Pastor B, the floor is yours even as we round up. The two questions, I don't know if you were able to remember Mr. Adefarasi's and Mr. Chris's comment so that you can just address both. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for the question. So the point in terms of the 21 days and all, I mean, the reality of sometimes is that we can't, sometimes you don't have control of everything. And so sometimes life happens or things don't work according to the way you want it to. But so if you walk on a journey in terms of entrenching that habit, and then something happens and you're not able to actually do that in that short period, what is important is ensuring that you have your focus and you get back on track and kick off from there, because the most important thing is about entrenching that habit. So if it's possible that before, and it's also possible that you've done it and you've already done it for 21 days, but even after that 21 days, something happens and you are not able to do it for the next 3 or 4 days. But you must be ready to pick up yourself and get them, because you have a purpose, you have a focus, and you have a goal that you've set for yourself. But so if things happen that will not allow you to be able to consistently meet what you have said, and that is the reality of life. You don't need to beat up yourself. All you need to do is to get up and go again until you're able to, it becomes a full part of you. I don't know if that answers the question. And then the point about opposition thinking, I mean, as you said, your mind can only think about one thing at the time, all right? And it's important for you to then know what are the things that you want to feed your mind with. And so when there's anything that is contrary to that does not add to what it is that you want to feed your mind with, you then need to learn to do something to refocus your mind to that thing, the positive thing that you like. There's a verse in the Bible which talks about casting down every imagination that exalted itself above the name of Christ. Because sometimes some thoughts will come and you must be able to find a way to what it is that you would do to turn your mind away from that negativity into the positive that you desire, into the things that you want to focus your mind on. You must be ready to take action about it. So it's not like you leave it to linger. Once your mind is focusing on what you don't want for your mind, you must take action and refocus it on something positive or something better that you desire.
Thank you, Pastor B. Thank you for that. I'm sure you've answered both questions for Mr. Chris and Mr. Rotimi. Thank you very much. So it's on this note that I would like to appreciate everybody. Pastor Itwa, thank you very much for this initiative. TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club has been, everything, including awesome. It's been a good time. Everybody has been getting a lot of meat, as it were, from each book that we have reviewed. So we appreciate you for this initiative. Trinity House, so as we all know, is an TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club. It's an initiative of Trinity House. Trinity House is located in Victoria Island, Oniru, Victoria Island, Trinity Avenue, Water Corporation Drive, off Ligali Ayonride. You can fellowship with us. We have our services 9 a.m. every Sunday, tomorrow 9 a.m. and on Wednesdays, we have our midweek services at 6 o'clock in the evening. So thank you for coming. Our next book review will be in May. Like I mentioned on the platform, or generally, or even at the beginning of this session, our book reviews are usually on the third Saturday of the month, but today we have it on the 4th. The month of May, next month, will also be on the 4th Saturday, being 27th of May. It's Children's Day, and we are going to have something a little bit different so that we can begin to bring that reading culture to our children or our teenagers or the youth of the society. So yes, we'll have someone, a young lady who has written a book. I won't let the cat out of the bag, but she'll be reviewing her own book. Okay, like I said, I won't let the cat out of the bag, but we'll give more information as time goes on. So please, let's save the date, the 27th of May. On this note, I'd like to say a very big thank you for everybody who joined today and all those who have been joining even from inception. We look forward to seeing you in subsequent reviews, and please stay in touch. The telephone numbers have been posted on the chat room. Please WhatsApp only. We look forward to having you next time. Pastor Bayo Ajayi, once again, we appreciate you and we say a very big thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone, and God bless you all.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Great session. Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you. We're still responding to messages in the chat room, but thank you. Send messages to the 2 telephone numbers. It's been a fantastic evening. We appreciate everybody. Thank you. Thank you.